I call this story Blessed Nunzio Sulprizio, a poor kid who couldn't catch a break. The birth of a child is usually considered a blessed event for parents, and it was for Italian Catholics Domenico and Rosa Luciani Sulprizio on April 13, 1817, when a son, Nunzio, was born. Named for his recently departed grandfather, it was roughly a week after Easter that year, and Nunzio was the bright spot in a year of widespread famine in his native Pescara. His devout parents had him baptized before sunset that same day. 3 years later, they presented him to the bishop of the newly created Diocese of Sulmona for the sacrament of confirmation. 2 months later, in midsummer, his father died, leaving a widow and a baby daughter, Domenica. Sadly, Nunzio's sister died 5 months later, on December 7, 1820. Faced with the prospect of abject poverty while trying to provide for Nunzio, Rosa Sulprizio was married again in 1822 to a significantly older man. He detested young Nunzio and treated him harshly and with contempt. Nunzio attended a school run by a local priest, and along with learning the subjects of reading and writing, he developed a love for the Mass and stories about the lives of the saints. A year later, his mother died, and Nunzio was sent to his maternal grandmother to live, who, although uneducated, encouraged his developing Catholic faith and piety. She cared for him with great affection and continued bringing him to Mass almost every day. When his grandmother died in 1826, Nunzio was taken by her son and put to work as an apprentice blacksmith at the young age of 9. Like his stepfather, Nunzio's uncle Domenico treated him harshly, often beating him, verbally abusing him, and starving him. Such abuse left him weak and susceptible to frequent bouts of sickness. His uncle showed him no compassion. One morning, Nunzio fell ill with a swollen leg and could no longer stand. He was hospitalized in L'Aquila for 4 months with gangrene in his leg. Biographers have noted that Nunzio suffered his affliction with incredible calm, patience, and acceptance. He saw his suffering as an opportunity to draw closer to Christ. After leaving the hospital, Nunzio was in the habit of bathing his constantly seeping wounds in a nearby stream. The story is told of a woman who chased him away from the comforting waters where she did her household laundry. Nunzio quickly found another body of water where he could continue his practice, often reciting multiple rosaries while he attended to his wounds. During his last hospital stay, Nunzio met his paternal uncle, Francesco Sulprizio, a soldier in the army. He cared for the suffering boy and introduced him to a fellow soldier, Colonel Felice Wackinger, who developed a father-like relationship with him. Through Felice, Nunzio became acquainted with Saint Gaetano Enrico, later canonized by Pope Benedict XVI. Enrico was the founder of a religious order, Missionaries of the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary, in Naples. He promised young Nunzio a place in the order. But despite some signs of progress, Nunzio was admitted again to Naples' famous Hospital for the Incurables for therapy and care. Nunzio would visit other young patients, comforting them, teaching them prayers and the catechism. Barely 15, the required age for First Holy Communion, Nunzio prepared for and received his first Eucharist. Signs of Nunzio's recovery came and went until it was decided by doctors in 1835 that his left leg, now septic, had to be amputated. It is said that despite his physical hardship, struggles, and pain, Nunzio never lost his pleasant disposition and his spiritual devotion. Resigned to his steadily deteriorating condition, Nunzio developed regular fevers, and in March 1836, he requested the last sacraments of the Church. Less than 2 months later, on May 5, 1836, Nunzio requested a crucifix to hold and died at the age of 19 with prayer on his lips. During the 5 days of his funeral, it has been reported that the smell of roses surrounded his body. He was buried in the church of San Domenico Soriano in Naples. Widely recognized for his patient suffering, concern for other young sick he came to know, and his profound faith, Catholics in Naples began to honor his memory with prayers and devotion, calling him our little saint. A similar veneration also developed in his hometown of Pescara. 7 years after his death, efforts to have him canonized began, and Pope Pius IX initiated his cause for sainthood. He was declared venerable for a life of heroic virtue, and a patron of workers and blacksmiths and the disabled by Pope Leo XIII in 1891. 2 healing miracles were attributed to his intercession, and Pope St. John XXIII accepted their validity shortly before his dying. His successor, Blessed Pope Paul VI, beatified him at St. Peter's Basilica in Rome on December 1, 1963, during the Second Vatican Council, the 5th such beatification over which Pope Paul VI presided in his first year as Pope. Another miracle was attributed to Nunzio's intercession, and on June 8, 2018, Pope Francis declared that he would be canonized on October 14, 2018, during the Synod for Young People, the same day that had been designated for the canonization of Blessed Paul VI, who declared him blessed 55 years before. Using popular terminology of our own day, Blessed Nunzio Sulprizio has been aptly described by contemporary bloggers as a poor kid who could never catch a break. His less than 2 decades of a life of tragedy and suffering certainly bear witness to that reference. During his many encounters with illnesses and physical disabilities, Blessed Nunzio would tell visitors, "Jesus endured so much for us. If we suffer for a while, we will enjoy paradise." His last words were recorded by his caretaker, Felice Wokinger. "Be cheerful. From heaven I will always be helping you." At a time when suicide, drug addiction, dysfunctional families, and widespread hopelessness among the young seem to plague our society, Blessed Nunzio Sulprizio stands out in the Church as a real-life model and powerful intercessor for them. Sulprizio is proof that sanctity does not require a long life or an early death, only a life, whatever its length, lived with and for the Lord. For young people in today's world, 19-year-old Nunzio Sulprizio shows us that saints can and do look like them. As we celebrate his canonization on October 14th, Blessed soon-to-be Saint Nunzio Sulprizio, pray for the youth of our diocese and inspire them, like you, to love the Lord.